Today is National Get Smart About Credit Day. Today reminds us about the importance of understanding how credit works. Get this, recent numbers from the Federal Reserve show Americans owe more than $1.2 trillion in credit card debt. Financial professional Will McWhorter with Wilson McWhorter Financial joins us live this morning to talk about tackling credit card debt. Thank you for joining us in the studio today. And you know, right now, Americans are experiencing record high interest rates with credit cards, almost as high as 22%. What are some things that consumers should know about that?
Well, I think in today's society, we're kind of driven to a cashless society. And just this past weekend, we were out of town, and the first thing people ask for is they want to see your credit card for security deposits or booking motels or stuff like that. So I think you need to be aware of those higher interest rates, and a budget. Setting a budget will help kind of determine what you can spend on a credit card each month, and make sure you try to get it paid off on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and talking about paying off debt, almost half of Americans right now, I think the number is 46%, are in debt. What is some advice you have to anybody that's trying to pay that off or just trying to get out of that hole?
Well, again, I think a budget, sitting down and doing a monthly budget. A lot of times we don't think about, just going out to eat or maybe going to a movie. We think about our power bill and, electricity, cell phone bills, but some of the smaller stuff we don't think about unless you sit down and, actually do a budget to help determine what you can set aside to help pay down some of that debt.
Right, and you're talking about budgets, and we'll definitely get to that in a second, but you also mentioned, things like going out to eat at restaurants, traveling. A lot of people use credit cards for points and benefits from those purchases. What do you have to say about that category of credit card user and spender?
Well, I'm guilty of it. I used points just last summer to take a trip.
Right.
I think the points are good, but you also have to be careful. You don't want to run it up too high. And make sure you get it paid off again on a monthly basis, because that's what the credit card companies want you to do. They want you to spend that extra money and make a minimum payment instead of trying to pay it off each month. And then I think that's where a lot of people get in trouble, especially with those higher interest rates.
Right, and so talking about kind of all of that, if you're trying to pay it off or if you have a lot of debt and you're just making those minimum payments, the one thing that's really going to help you throughout all of this is a budget, right?
That's
so
correct.
What are some important things to include in a budget? We hear to budget, but how?
So, with Wilson McWhorter Financial, Wayne and I, when we sit down with a client, one of the first things we ask, have you done a budget? Have you sat down with your spouse, or you may be single, but have you sat down and really looked into doing a budget? And we have software that we can implement to help. Some things you don't think about, like I said earlier, just maybe going out to eat a couple of nights a week,
right.
Or you may enjoy going to see a movie, but all of that comes into play. Your power bill, your phone bill, different things that come into play that's there each month. If you don't factor that in, sometimes it can cause issues.
Right, and you mentioned at the beginning of this that we're a very cashless society now. Everything's going very cashless. What do you have to say about what is a necessity to put on a credit card? Like, I'm curious for myself. What are the things I should be putting on a credit card versus my debit card and things like that?
I think you got to look at the overall goal of what you're trying to accomplish. Just like I mentioned this past weekend, the first thing they asked for was they needed to do a $150 security deposit for incidentals. So stuff like that, I don't think you have a choice. But if you've got cash to pay stuff, unless you're trying to build up points to take a trip or something like that, again, I think you need to be careful. I would rather spend cash than try to put everything on a credit card.
Right, and sometimes, this is an experience I had recently, a credit card machine went down, and so I couldn't use any of my cards, and the only option to either get what I needed or to leave was to get cash, and I luckily had cash on me, but so many young people like me don't carry cash on us. Do you have any advice about what's maybe a good amount or just the best way to handle our finances?
Well, I've got a daughter at Georgia Southern, and you know, a lot of times I give her, before she leaves home, I'll give her cash, because you never know when an ATM machine may be down, or a credit card
Right.
machine may be down, or something.
Yes.
But you know, in today's society, credit cards, you know, debit cards, that's what a lot of young people carry around.
Yeah.
But I know just this past September, when the storm hit, a lot of those machines were down, and if you didn't have cash, I've heard of people, you know, going into a gas station and not having a card, and potentially running out of gas because of the machines being down due to power outages and stuff. So
Right.
I think it's a great idea to have, you know, maybe at least $50 to $100 cash with you at all times.
Right. Okay. And can you remind the viewers at home again where you work and where they can learn more information about how to maybe get smart about their money with you?
Okay, so we've got an office. My office is in Lincoln. Wayne, my partner, has an office in Thompson, and we also have an office off Furious Ferry Road here in Martinez.
And what's the name of the business
It's
again?
Wilson McWhorter Financial. We have a website, wilsonmcwhorter.com. You can go on and log on to our site, and we've got information on there also.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. McWhorter. We appreciate you
Thank you
talking
for
to
having
us today about finances.